What is up, guys, and welcome to an F1 2020 discussion video. Yes, it is now my turn to do an Arab, but don't worry, we're not going to be making 20,000 videos about the topic. We'll just keep this to maybe the one video. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, F1 2020, my guess is that it's going to come out even earlier than what F1 2019 did in the yearly cycle, that being in the middle of the year in June. I get the impression that it might come out, say, around April, May. That would be the dream, but it could still easily come out in June again. That is the hope. But yeah, with that said, I feel like, for the most part, all of the game ideas, the game modes, the core features that are going to be compiled in this next game in F1 2020 are probably already locked down from the previous iterations where the games were coming out in September, October. We know for a fact that, you know, their game modes were locked down around Christmas time, and we're getting close to that now. So, who knows? I may even change the title of this video to F1 2021 because, yeah, I feel like the development cycle of this game is already way past the point of no return, shall I say. So, I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully some ideas that I'm talking about will end up being in the game or can maybe be taken into consideration. I've taken, you know, a lot of long showers thinking about all the things I want in future F1 games. As sad as that sounds, yes, I have done that many times. And so I've compiled a big list, and we're going to talk about them. I've broken them up into different categories. So if you are not interested in a particular part of the game, so if you're not interested in career mode, you can skip straight to the online or the big features that I talk about. Vice versa, it'll be in the description. So let's get underway, and just to whet your appetites for the most part, I'm going to talk about the big features first, which you know, we need to see in the F1 games. Now, bear in mind when I talk about everything here, it goes without saying that we want to minimize the bugs, eliminate the bugs. I don't talk about that really over the course of this video. This is all mainly just features and things new we want to see in the F1 game. So with that said, let's get stuck in to the big features that would be highly welcomed within the community. So let's get underway. The first one is the elephant in the room, virtual reality. Where is it, Codemasters? It's so many other racing games are implementing VR into their sims. It's a huge part of the online marketplace. Well, it's not huge, it's a bit of a niche, to be honest. So it probably isn't worth their time. But for the people who do have VR headsets, literal game changer. Can we hopefully see it in this year's game or in F1 2021? I really do hope so. VR is becoming more and more accessible to people as the technology becomes cheaper. So I really hope that we can get this really immersive F1 experience, and VR is the way that we go about getting that. Next up, damage model. It's been pretty stagnant for a long time. I honestly can't remember really the last time the damage model really had an improvement. F1 2016, I think the wheel tethers, like that was the last time that you know, any progress was made in the damage department. So what I want to see is I want to see suspension damage. You know, from riding over curbs too much, you see your suspension break like Sebastian Vettel at COTA this year. I want to see floor damage. Every time there is contact with another car, the teams and the drivers are reporting back to each other. You know, they're worried about floor damage, and if there's floor damage, then you're losing a lot of time, a lot of pace. And floor damage has never been a consideration within the handling and physics of this game. Bend steering is another one. iRacing implements it really well. You make contact with a wall, maybe you don't lose your front wing, you're just lucky to maybe go in a little bit sideways up against a wall or another driver. Your steering gets bent a little bit, but these are all things that could be implemented into simulation damage. You know, it'd be a bit savage to get bent steering or floor damage or whatever in reduced or maybe full damage, but definitely for those hardcore purists out there like me, those would be really welcome areas of improvement, I would say. But I will defend Codemasters here and say that there is a lot of pressure from, you know, FOM, the FIA, to kind of protect their products. They don't want to see F1 cars getting too damaged in a particular way because it shows the sport in a negative light. But at the same time, you do need to uphold the integrity of how just things work, to be honest. Like, we can't just have these impenetrable F1 cars, because we do see lots of carbon fiber go flailing everywhere, and it is, when it does happen, and especially because it's a game, it's lighthearted, it's quite dramatic and would really add to the theater of when crashes do happen. God, I feel like I'm out of breath already. Next big feature I'd love to see is a pre-season test in career mode, whether it be at the start of the career mode or in between seasons, having an opportunity to build up a big bank of resource points. Instead of it being random, you actually get rewarded for the effort that you put in. This would really be a good opportunity to showcase F1 cars in a different light. Like, you see all the testing apparatus that goes on the cars during these sessions. Be a really good opportunity to test your own different kind of development packages, like we kind of see in MotoGP. So you test these different iterations of maybe a chassis or whatever, aero kit, and you drive it around and you pick whichever development path you want to go down based on whichever one feels the best. Maybe not necessarily the fastest, but whatever feels the comfiest, for example. That'd be really cool. Because when we move into a new team, we get chucked into a new team and they've already spent the resource points, or we have the big banker resource points at the start of the season, but we haven't actually upgraded the car heading into Australia, and that really sucks. So that is a big problem, which would be eradicated with a pre-season test. Moving on. Older drivers, I would love them to be able to retire from the sport, so your likes of Hamilton's, as sad as that would be, Sebastian Vettel's, Kimi Raikkonen's, who else? Rubens Barrichello? No, he retired a few years ago, that's right. No, I'm joking. F2 drivers to come up in their place as well, or the introduction of reserve drivers. Jack Aitken, for example, at Renault Academy would be a good fit to slide in for Esteban Ocon, because, you know, he's getting on in age now, so he'll be coming up to retirement very soon. Cooldown laps. Having a cooldown lap after a race is finished would be really cool. We could do some donuts. We could do some donuts. Wave to the crowd. Have the, this is something I've just thought of. Have the marshals come out to the track and wave all their flags and stuff. That'd be really cool. Really sentimental. Red flags. They were in the games previously. Why aren't they in the game now? Let's bring them back, please. Classic tracks. And in this list, I'm not going to talk about classic cars at all, because I don't feel like we need any more classic cars. I feel like it's a waste of money, time and resources trying to get those licenses. Let's how do I talk? Let's give more content to the game for us to enjoy, whether it be in the career mode experiences, in the invitational events, or whether it be, you know, league racing or online races. We can just drive on classic tracks for extra bonus content. That'd be absolutely awesome. Hell, even bring it in as DLC a couple of months into the game, just to freshen it up a little bit. Because something I loved this year was you guys bringing in F2 2019 cars in September, 3 months after the game came out. It brought a fresh lease of life into the game, and I'm sure you guys would have noticed in your stats an uptake in players picking up the game again. F1 I know it's a yearly franchise, so it is a little bit hard to support the game all year round, because your team is so busy already making the next game, and even a small percentile of your workforce working on F1 2021, the game that's 2 years ahead. But a little bit of DLC, like even if it's classic tracks, would be nice here and all there. But that's all of this is my opinion, of course. Feel free to correct me down in the comments below, which you guys always like to do. On the subject of tracks, I would love to see more short layouts introduced. I don't know when they got brought in. It was either F1 2016 or 2017. That was a really cool feature. If we can have more tracks with more layouts, that'd be really awesome to try out. I like doing them in online lobbies, just to screw around with people, so that they go up the wrong direction. Oh, wrong direction, yes. I actually have this in my notes. Can we drive tracks in the reverse direction? You can do it in Grid and other, you know, racing games by you guys in the past. So let's race around Spa backwards. Let's go down our Rouge for a change and not get disqualified for going backwards. That would also be a really cool feature to have to improve the longevity of the game. Pit lane start to start the race would be cool. Say you know, we've loaded a setup and we're not happy with it come qualifying, and we're dreading the race because now it's all of a sudden raining and we've got an absolute dog of a car. Let's completely break Parc Fermé rules, allow us to work on the car. We'll start from the pit lane, and who knows, we may even come up with an epic drive. I think it'd be really cool. Even if you're in online or league racing, you've had a bad qualifying, or you've qualified on the soft tire and you wanted to be on mediums or something, and you don't want to get taken out by starting in the mid-pack, take yourself out of the action, start from the pit lane, and life is gravy. I think it'd be really cool. Would be an absolute game changer. Another game changer would be laser scanned tracks. Now this is a problem, well, it's not a problem, but I've seen a lot of people complain about it recently. I think even Lando Norris said it maybe this year, that some of the tracks are pretty inaccurate, like Kota. There's a lot of elevation that isn't exactly encapsulated in the game. So hopefully with, I don't know, the beefier budget that Cody's is starting to get now with, you know, F1 esports, that's, you know, growing a lot as a platform. I feel like there's a lot of momentum going behind Codemasters at the moment. The extension of their deal into F1 or into 2025 or something like that. Hopefully this means that with that security they can, you know, start to take more risks and put more funds into, you know, supporting their product. And laser scanned tracks is something that I hope that they're aiming for, or is in their roadmap in the next couple of years. Another thing I'd love to see is cross-platform play. It's no secret that F1 games are, you know, not the biggest franchise in the world. It's no FIFA, it's no Call of Duty. The player base is actually relatively limited, and especially if you're on PC, trying to find, you know, a lot of other people to play with in ranked or, you know, open lobbies. I'd love to be able to invite everyone from all platforms to play in my open lobbies and not have to discriminate people on a different platform because I don't like that platform. Having cross-platform play just brings everyone together, really, doesn't it? So that'd be really, really awesome. But that is, you know, a lot of these things that I'm putting out there are very hard to achieve. It would take a lot of time and money and effort to do. But these are just the big ticket items that, you know, we would all love to see as F1 fans as part of the game. And finally, as the big features, Wishlist, I would love to be able to drive the safety car. David Greco has said it himself. They actually have the data. He's actually driven the safety car in his office at the time, but it's not available for everyone else to try. But I think it would be really cool to do it in the public domain for everyone to try, and hell, even have like a safety car race. That would be absolutely awesome. I think he could have done it on one of the old MotoGP games. Valentino Rossi, the game, is the specific one I think I'm harping to. Drive the safety car. Make it happen. Right, now we're going to talk about career mode and get some popcorn because this might be a long old spiel as well. So let's get into it. Before we get into F1, we have to go through the F2 feeder series. We only did 3 races last time. I would love to be able to have the option at least to complete a full F2 season. That was people's biggest gripes about F1 2019's career mode. On the topic of that, I'd love to see more story-driven stuff like you guys did with Devin Butler and Lucas Weber. And not just like while we're in F2, like once we get into F1, I want to see more cutscenes. I want to see interaction. We literally got nothing once we were in F1. It was just your bog standard career mode as it has always been. I would have loved to have at least seen a little bit of interaction with those F2 graduates, you know, at least in the first season. So hopefully that can be approved upon for next year. Player failures, pretty self-explanatory. The AI have engine failures, gearbox retirements, whatever. The player needs to have them as well, and they need to be the kind of frequency that the AI player has them. We shouldn't be able to literally run them into the ground like an hour of a career mode. We need to be able to have the gearbox or engine go at us randomly anywhere above, say, 50%. It's very savage, I know, but this is Formula One. This isn't, you don't get a ribbon or a prize, a medal for just participating. This is the pinnacle of motorsport. Sometimes shit happens. I touched upon this in the big features segment, but I also want to harp home this again. Preseason test, also having mid-season tests, so whether it be a tyre test for Pirelli or a young driver test, another opportunity to, you know, earn some resource points in between a race weekend would be pretty cool. Reserve drivers in FP1, so yeah, again, spare driver for Mercedes, whether it be Esteban Ocon, although he's not going to be that in 2020. You know what I mean. We need to see different names in FP1. I think that'd be really cool. Just to mix it up a little bit, and hopefully your teammate as well can like earn, said resource points in practice, or at least contribute a little bit instead of it all falling on my shoulder. On the topic of practice and resource points, it would be really cool if we could pass multiple practice programs at once in a practice session. So we're doing, for example, track acclimatization. If I happen to somehow save enough fuel over the course of that track acclimatization lap, I should be able to pass the fuel burn test. I should be able to pass the tire wear test or the ERS management test, so that we could bosh out a few practice programs in a lap, even if you're good enough to do that, so that we could save time a little bit, because I feel like I'm driving pretty well over the course of all these practice programs, and like I feel like some of these laps you should be able to get some data for multiple elements of the car, even though you're not exactly targeting those specifically. That'd really cut down the amount of time that we do in practice, because I know for a fact that it's a big grind in order to do all the practice programs to max out your resource points. But at the same time, we could make this a little bit more efficient for everyone. Another thing would be really cool is a pit stop slider. Someone in the comments a few years ago said this, and this has really stuck with me. I told Codemasters a few years ago. Looks like they either ignored it or they weren't able to implement it, but I just like to reiterate it again, is a variable pit stop slider. So I'd love to be able to see a slider that we could go for more aggressive pit stops, that being under 2 seconds. And if it's under 2 seconds, or the faster it is, the more likelihood there is of something stuffing up. So maybe wheel nut won't go on properly, you'll cross thread the wheel nuts, the wheel might fall off and you'll have to retire the car. Things that, is really risky, but if you want to risk it for the chocolate biscuit and get a faster pit stop, maybe there's a crucial element in the race where, you're not really on the pace and you're really having to, the team is under pressure, and the only way you're going to stay in front of this guy is by having a faster pit stop, so you have to risk it a little bit. F1 is all about risk, so let's chuck it in maybe. Another thing, Martin Brundle, where the hell is he? He's been MIA for the entirety of the F1 game franchise. He did the commentary for the Studio Liverpool game, F1 Championship Edition. He might have done other games, I don't know. But that says to me that Martin isn't a diva. Maybe he's a diva now, I don't know. That's probably wrong of me to say, but I would love to have Martin Brundle in the game. So let's hopefully get him in there, or at least, I don't know, the Anthony Davidson and Crofty partnership is a little bit, I don't know, it seems a little too samey for me. Maybe get Paul di Resta in there just to change it up a little bit, because I feel like Anthony Davidson is a little, I don't know, he sounds a little fake when he commentates the cutscenes and stuff. I feel like Paul di Resta would be a good one. He's more of a recent F1 driver, and I feel like I actually like it when Paul di Resta kind of shuts down Crofty and makes him look silly a little bit sometimes. That's just me. But anyway, more commentary, different names and audio stuff. That'd be lovely. On the topic of audio and commentary, I would love to see the option to change engineers, have a different engineer speech to talk to. So fine, keep Jeff, he's iconic, we all love him, or some of us love him, I'm not too sure. Can we maybe have a female engineer? Can we have an Italian engineer that also speaks English? Could we have a full-on bogan Aussie guy like you hear in iRacing? Can we have an American? I don't know. I feel like that'd be really cool, just to change it up and have a little bit of a different personality. I know you can do it on iRacing, so I feel like that'd just, because Jeff is just bit meh, he's just boring a little bit. I'd love to have just a little bit of flavor, a different voices here or there. A Scottish guy, get a bloody Ginger Andy who does AOR commentaries. He would be lovely as a banterous engineer to have. X-Matty, get Matt in the game, please, as a commentator. Not a commentator, but an engineer. Can you imagine Jeff or Matt? Sorry. telling me to stop corner cutting, that would be absolutely glorious. Where is this video going? This video started off so professional and so well orchestrated in the way I was talking, and now it's just turned into a shit show. So let's move this along, shall we? Angry driver radios. You make contact with someone over the course of the race. Either we hear it directly or the engineer says, hey, Hamilton wasn't happy with what you just did there. Something like that would be cool. Control in the pit lane. Pretty self-explanatory. We, slow down for the marks. We turn into our pit box and we brake to make sure that we don't run over our lollipop man or the people in the pit area. Because that was a thing back in the day, F1 2010, I think. You had to slow down. So can we at least have that level of control back? That'd be cool. 2 more points now for career mode. One of which is more and different cutscenes. So whether it be the podium ceremony, I'd love to see maybe Parc Ferme cutscenes now where they pull into the boxes and they get out. Maybe have people at the weigh scales. I'd love to see more cinematic cutscenes or just camera angles in replay cameras, because the game is visually stunning these days. Let's showcase that a little bit more with enhanced replay cameras, the option to cycle through different replay cameras. I don't know, just have more options to see F1 and the F1 game in a different light, because the whole replay system, with the exception of the highlights feature you introduced for F1 2019, apart from that, the replays and cutscenes and everything have become a little tried and true a little bit. Winning the championship, that needs to be, I don't know, there needs to be more cutscenes around that. That'd be really cool. Last request now for career mode, and that is asking the team if we can increase the engine power for a limited time. So maybe a few laps. We can ask for max fuel mixture if we're trying to chase someone down and we're just lacking that little bit of pace, but that'll cost us a little bit more engine wear. I feel like that'd be a really awesome option, and one that all the career mode enthusiasts would certainly enjoy. Moving on now to the online spectrum of the game, and first off I want to talk about camera angles. So, and this could probably apply to career mode as well, because replay systems are a thing there. But I'd love to be able to cycle through more camera angles, like in Forza. So, for example, I love the helicopter camera that occasionally pops up in replay camera. I'd love to be able to follow along in, helicopter cam all throughout the lap or throughout the race, hell, if I want to. I just want to have the option to have more camera angles, more cinematic shots, low-lying shot. I don't know, lots of different shots, because I feel like the whole camera angle or replay cameras system in the game could be totally revamped and made in a really awesome way. The games look visually stunning, but sometimes the replays really do let them down, especially online. While we're talking about that as well, the replay highlights that show at the end of a career mode race, or even your online races in the theater mode, I feel like they could be improved upon a little bit. They seem to just cut out a little bit at random weird times. So if we can have a longer highlights replay, and even include them showing pit stops at times. I love the slow motion shots that they have. Just I love when the game showcases its beauty, and I feel like it only does it in rare fleeting moments here and there. I feel like they could do it a whole lot more often. So more slow-mo, more action, more is the gist of the story. Next, can we please lock in the ability to use just one classic car? So if I want to race in the absolute slowest car, which I think is like the 1972 Lotus, for example, and I pick 70s/80s cars, everyone in my lobby will pick the fastest car from that era. And that's so annoying. I want everyone to race in the car that I want them to race in. I've said it. The guys from Veloce say it a lot all the time, and I'm pretty sure everyone else in online lobbies gets sick of racing the same fastest car in each respective era. So let's just take that ability away and allow us to have a little bit more diversity. That'd be cool. Next, let's have a more comprehensive comparable stats leaderboard. Like in Rocket League, you can compare who scored the most goals, most saves, most matches played. You can see their online rank. Can we have something like that where we can see everyone's skill rating, whether it be the logo that it is itself, or can we see the number? Can we see both? To be honest, that'd be lovely. Can we see how many races people have won? Can we like sort, the leaderboard by race wins or by, races taken part in, amount of podiums? Can we see who's got the most penalties, most disqualifications, DNFs? Like this, I love numbers, love stats. Even though I dropped out of uni to be from accounting, but I still love numbers nonetheless. I don't like studying them. Oh wow, this is just very, very contradictory. But when it comes to fun things, I like numbers. So comparable stats, online, check. Alright, this one is a big one, and it nearly made it into the big ticket items at the start of the video, but I'm going to say it now. Online party mode games, that being having like a timed elimination race, the ability to have hide and seek, to have like infected game modes like you see in Forza, a race game mode where you can pretty much take each other out, like basically survive Monaco, for example. Last person to keep driving around. It can be an unlimited length race. Oh my god, can you imagine that? No, let's just make it like a battle royale game mode, and that'd be absolutely sick in online. And finally, for online, I'd like to see the master rank, the rank itself, kind of stand out a little bit better. At the moment, it's blue, and it still has the same look as the other ranks, that being bronze, silver, and gold. I feel like gold stands out the most, and it's the second highest rank. Master rank should be head and shoulders the coolest one and the most out there looking one. I feel like if you've got said rank, which I do, by the way, cheeky plug to my master rank series, I want to be able to show it off and flex it on the rest of the F1 community. So with that said, can we also have the ability to see other people's ranks while we're sitting in the unranked lobbies and private lobbies and what have you, and be able to see their safety rating as well? Because at the moment, I don't think you can do that. So we can easily weed out idiots who like to crash into each other, even in unranked lobbies. Now, we're going to move on to customization, which is something that you guys have been heavily talking about since F1 2019 came out. It was really awesome that Codemasters brought out the ability to have a multiplayer custom car. So it's a 2019 spec car. We can have all these crazy liveries, which is really cool. However, I would love to see a little bit more customization on that front. I want to be able to design our own F1 car. So that being having a whole bunch of random letters, numbers, shapes, so we can design our own liveries, and hell, even put them up on, say, an auction house, and people can buy said designs. Just the customization is cool, and I like what you guys have done. You've introduced, the cars. You've introduced, more helmets. You've introduced premium helmets, badges. That's really cool. Driver suits, gloves. But yeah, we want to be able to customize these more. We want to be able to design our own cars with livery editor. We want to be able to design our own helmets. We want to have sponsors on our helmets as well. They look quite bare without having sponsors. We can have fake sponsors. We can have real sponsors. It's really up to you guys, but we just want sponsors, really. We just want to make the helmets look a little bit more authentic and not stand out so much like a sore thumb up against, some other drivers in Formula One, just the online space in general. Customization, you've done a great job so far, but we can definitely step it up a notch with being able to design our own stuff. And can we maybe be able to change the color of our race boots? Can we have different brand of race boots? Because at the moment, a race boot is your boots are tied in with a driver's suit. I want to have can we not be forced to have a race boot that's the same as the driver's suit? Can we separate that and have more customization, more colors, lots more, personalization would be lovely. And that was a very long and strung out sentence. I definitely could have said that better, but I'm going to leave it in. Moving on. And this again is still customization, but to a different degree. I'm now talking about the Formula One spec car itself. We've been able to just change the different liveries. Now I want to change the visual appearance of the car and the way that it looks and even sounds. So what I mean by that is I want to be able to change the look of, say, the front wing. I want to change the look of the rear wing. I want to change how the side pods look. Can we change the floor design? Can we change the steering wheel itself to have maybe, I don't know, if we want to have different button configuration. Oh, this is, now that I say this sounds a bit stupid, but I don't know. At least if we can change the visual appearance of the aero and the appearance of the multiplayer car, that'd be really cool to stand out and have a skinny rear wing, a big thick boy rear wing. I don't know, but still have the same characteristics and achieve the same lap time. That'd be really cool. And finally, to be able to change the engine sound. I believe the online multiplayer car uses a Ferrari engine sound. Can we change it to a Honda or Mercedes or Renault? Some people would really appreciate that because a lot of people have different preferences apart from, say, the Ferrari. But there we go. That has been the meat of all the features that I want to talk about. We have one more to go, which is handling and physics. I'm actually pretty darn happy with the way that the handling works on F1 2019. So I'm going to have to leave this to you guys to give me more suggestions to talk about handling / physics in a future video. I did touch upon damage, which could be branched in this. But anyway, I'm waffling. Let's move on. What I want to see in terms of improvements to the handling and physics is have a little bit more dirty air, just a touch more. I feel like it's just a little too easy to follow other cars on F1 2019. However, I want to play devil's advocate here and also say maybe it's a good thing that there isn't dirty air, because dirty air is the main thing that's killing Formula 1 at the moment. So I would understand if you would leave it how it is to that degree. But for those people who want more realism, the cars do definitely need to be a touch harder to follow. Not a crazy amount, but just a little bit, because at the moment it is relatively easy to follow a faster car around a racetrack and just stay within DRS, because the DRS pulls you along. You don't really suffer much in terms of dirty air. Really, you only feel it at, say, Melbourne and Spain. The other tracks, really, you don't feel too much dirty air at all, so it's relatively easy to follow cars. And I know that's a big frustration of league racing and competitive racing, but it makes it more exciting. There's big trains of cars, and it makes it really cool because all these cars are so close together, anything could happen. But I can understand from a competitive level if you're faster than your competitors, but they're just sticking in your rear wing with slipstream and free DRS and free lap time. I can understand for the car in front that's actually quite frustrating to be the faster person, towing them along, and you're the one who's burning all your fuel trying to pull away, and it's not really working out for you. That I understand. So in that regard, a little more dirty air would be somewhat welcome. Finally, can we have the ability to change fuel and ERS at the exact same time? I feel like a little bit of an octopus at times, having to just flick between different engine modes and also battery modes in between an acceleration zone and a brake zone. When I come to a heavy braking zone, say turn 1 at Monza, I turn the battery down, I turn the engine mode down so I can minimize wheel spin, but then you want to maximize the straight and make sure you're fast in that area, so you flick the engine modes up, you flick the battery modes up, and then by the time you've done that, you've got to flick them back down again. It's quite frustrating, and it can be quite daunting as well for new players to have to do that. So can we tie in fuel and ERS being changed at the same time? Maybe not for everyone. I know some people want to have an element of being able to do each individually. I understand that. So maybe have the option in the options to toggle or to pair the two together to be able to do that, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. It's quite late. It's near on midnight, and I've been talking for, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, depending on how long I've edited this video down for. But it has been a long old discussion here on F1 2019. F1 2020, shall I say. But that'll do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Is there anything I've missed? Feel free to let me know. I might even do a follow-up video talking about other areas or going into more detail if that's something you want me to talk about. Codemasters, if you're watching, I'm always here. I now live in the UK, so if there's anything that I can do to help make the F1 games better, please reach out to me. I know you've worked with me in the past with, you know, testing the game. I'm quite happy to come in and give some feedback on certain elements. I'm happy to come in and do more voiceover work. I've done that with you guys in the past, but now that I live here in the UK, I'm only an hour away from your studio, so if there's anything I can do, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. I just want to see the F1 game flourish and be the best that it can be. That's why I'm making today's video. Continue to make awesome games, and I'll continue to make videos on it. This sounds like a real love fest now, so I'm going to end this soppy story here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video. If you are here, write in the comments, shut up, Jeff. Shut up, Jeff, and you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching for the third time, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video very soon.